now, coming to you live from atop the Lavender Town Radio Tower, it's the one, the only, PoGo.
It's PoGo! PoGo! It's PoGo! PoGo! Pokemon Underground Champions League, oh yeah! PoGo! PoGo.
Welcome to another episode of the PoCoPodcast. I'm your host, Trainer Thatch, here today with my exciting co-hosts. We've got the one and only fluffiest Whimsicott.
Ciao, everyone.
And Lynian, who is definitely not tired.
Yeah, it's fine.
Welcome, of course, to the PoCoPodcast. PoCo stands for the Pokemon Underground Champions League, a nonsensical name we came up with in 2007, where we talk everything Pokemon from the trading card game to the video game to everything in between. So what have you guys been up to in Pokemon? I should ask you guys before I haven't done much, honestly. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I've actually been doing something. 2 things.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've been playing TCG Pocket, and
oh, really?
I've been, yeah, I like it. It's, as I predicted, it's the simplified version of the TCG that I can vibe with.
It's exactly what I expected it to be.
Yeah, and I like it, and I'm enjoying it. The cards are very pretty. I got one of the immersive art ones.
Which one did you get?
I was very excited about the Pikachu. So the one that you already saw in the commercials. But still, I'm happy that I have it. My entire family was quite impressed by it. Like they all said it was cool, even my parents. So it's cool. And then I've been doing the Puckle Badge Bonanza for November. Because
that's a good one.
I've been failing the previous ones, but this time I am trying not to fail. I am about to go into Maylene's gym, which is behind, but not so far behind that I can't make it.
Maylene is rough. She was a threat. I've been doing that as well, and she nearly kicked my teeth in. There were deaths. There were a lot of deaths against me.
Yeah, she's the first one that I've actually checked the levels and movesets for before going into the gym, because I've heard horror stories about her. And I'm not playing with hardcore rules. I'm just doing a plain Nuzlocke, so my Pokemon are over leveled, so I should be fine. I especially predict that, like, if I don't let her Lucario do weird stuff to me, I can probably, like, take care of him with my Monferno, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing any hardcore rules, but that's basically what I've been doing, playing Pocket and doing the Gen 4 Nuzlocke. It was extremely blood-soaked right up until about Maylene, but I've turned the corner, and I'm heading towards Volkner now. The last death I had was my Medicham, which was entirely preventable. It died in Iron Island, getting doubled into.
Those are the best. Those are the best types of death. The preventable.
I was like, I should have switched. I absolutely should have switched. This is on me.
Yeah, I have no deaths so far, but I'm hoping that's not about to change soon, and I'm not sure because again, Maylene.
Yeah.
BDSP is so much harder than Diamond and Pearl.
Yes, I say this all the time.
The sets are, like, the items? Like, hello? Drain Punch with Big Root? Like, what are you doing?
No, they like, made that game hard. They made the gym leaders hard, and I don't know how the conversation went, but they're just like, yeah, don't change anything, but you know what? You get a little bit of wiggle room on, like, the gym leaders and Elite Four members' movesets, like, and it just, that's all they did.
Yeah. And I think it gets you even harder because you're like, oh, this is like the cutesy version of Diamond and Pearl. No, it's not.
No, it's the same exact version as Diamond and Pearl.
It looks cuter.
That's how they get you.
That is how they get you. Absolutely.
It is extremely funny to me to have to try to take little baby Cyrus seriously.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Okay, it is. Okay, when that happens, it is very funny and very cute.
I I could not take it seriously.
Yeah,
even a
me
little
neither.
bit.
Me neither.
Oh, you get to the end and, God is coming down to smite the non-believer, and you're just sitting there like, this is silly, actually.
Oh, it's very silly. It's very silly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've done too much this week, actually. It's been a long week at work. The last one, though, I can go back and finally do research again, so I'm very excited about that.
Yahoo!
I am no longer a PowerPoint warrior. Yeah, it's been very, very busy, but I did get to play some TCG, regular TCG, good old fashioned.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the rules that we've had since 1996 TCG, or I guess 1998, 1999. I don't know when did the card game actually start in Japan? I don't actually know the answer to that. It's pretty quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it was pretty much right away.
Yeah, it was also the early 90s, so that's a good time to get in on TCG or card games. Not early 90s, but mid 90s.
I mean, it's when Wizards of the Coast was the one to make it, so yeah, they knew.
Wizards didn't actually make the TCG. They just were the distributor.
Initiated it, and then it got taken, or were they just the local distributors?
So they were just the local distributors in the US. I think they tried to make a they tried to give input.
No, because they tried to ruin the game when they were going to lose the license.
Yeah, they did.
But because they were doing more than just printing the cards.
They were doing the tournament structure and everything. Yeah, yeah. No, what they did is they stopped every 18 plus division that existed in the game, and yeah, the Wizards era is really weird. But Wizards never ran it or never made the game. They did a lot of the translation, and they screwed up a lot of the translations actually. I forget which one. There was one card though that became absolutely broken because they mistranslated it. Yeah.
Okay, so it was developed by so it was developed by Creatures Inc. and initially released in 1996.
Yeah, so it's 96. Okay, so that is very quick. That's when Pokemon became Pokemon. So good for them. I mean, to be fair, every franchise in Japan just has a trading card game.
And also, if you really think about it, didn't Nintendo start out as a card making?
Yeah, but it's not
not trading cards, but yes,
not trading cards, but yes.
Yeah.
Hanafuda cards.
Hanafuda. Yeah.
It was in their blood.
Kind of. I mean, it wasn't Nintendo who made it. It was Creatures.
No. Yeah, but
which is a different company entirely and vaguely defined. But yeah,
Creatures is isn't it some a company that they made in a sense specifically for Pokemon?
I don't remember.
No, because I'm looking on its Wikipedia page, and it was founded in 1989.
Oh, okay.
So no, they basically they're a development era thing. So they started basically they made guidebooks and helped do looks like training and development stuff for people like Ito who did Earthbound. They produced the guidebooks and did some smaller studio development for Nintendo. And then in 1995, they changed their name to Creatures Inc. by basically taking Ape Inc. and rebuilding it. And then Pokemon came out a few years later, and then they took over a lot of the business end side of Pokemon.
Yeah.
I see, okay.
I always think of Creatures Inc. as the company that exists that does everything that we don't attribute to Game Freak, most of the time. Like Nintendo is there to be no, this is all only going to be on a Nintendo platform, but then Creatures just does everything else. They do
Nintendo
the
manages
stuff
the rights and the legal, and is the publisher. Creatures apparently makes Pokemon 3D models and animations. Those are not built by Game Freak.
Wild.
And then Game Freak handles pretty much everything else. And they also initially created the TCG. So they do everything that's Pokemon that isn't the games.
I think they still handle the TCG too.
Yeah, they still handle the TCG and also toys.
Yeah. Yep, I believe that.
Wow, they make more money than Game Freak.
They probably do because the games don't make
that's
that much.
That's not theoretical. I'm looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
It's higher.
Yeah, well, the merchandising does a lot.
Yeah, and the TCG.
The TCG, I don't know what's going to happen now. Pocket is incredibly popular, and I wouldn't be surprised if I'm a little terrified that there won't be enough cards because people will be oh man, I've been playing Pocket. Let me go buy the newest set or something like that. and we'll end up with something like that. Granted, I think they've done a very good job overproducing lately. So there's just like always cards. Like no matter when I go somewhere, I can buy packs. Like no matter where I go. It's not like during COVID where there were just like no cards anywhere.
Yeah, even here in Italy, I've like any store I go to now has a Pokemon card section, even the ones that you really wouldn't think.
Yeah.
I live 10 minutes from their printers, so what happens around me is not representative.
Yeah, I don't usually have any issues finding cards. Like, especially packs. Like, singles, yeah, I always have problems getting singles, like, locally. But in terms of packs and stuff like that, the card availability is sufficient. They've done a very good job of that. So
that's what we've been doing in Pokemon this week.
Yeah.
Thatch.
I mean, I played Pokemon. I don't know. I played some cards. Been playing Ceruledge EX and Archaludon EX because they're from the new set, and they're like, I don't think they're like top tier decks, but they're fun decks. That's for sure. And it's good now. They redid TCG Live again, and every time they remake it, they just make it slowly better. Just like they slowly just make it TCGO again, because now they got rid of the ladder essentially, so you don't have to like climb the ladder. You can't lose points on the ladder anymore. You can only gain points. So it's very easy to climb and get all the rewards and stuff like that. I think they did the math and realized that people just weren't climbing it because it was just so much of a win-loss thing. And honestly, like best of one isn't like very characteristic like how a deck plays, because you could just brick real hard, you know? And it was also like encouraging different strategies for ladder climbing and stuff like that. So it's now pleasant again. So if you want to play TCG Live, go play TCG Live. That is also on your phone, by the way, everybody, with free cards anytime you play it.
Don't you people have phones?
Yeah. Well, if you're playing TCG Pocket, I assume on that same device you can play TCG Live. It no longer catches your phone on fire. And you can build real 60 card decks. Granted, I think TCG Pocket is fantastic for like onboarding. I think it's fantastic for onboarding. And if you enjoy TCG Pocket and you don't enjoy the TCG, I'm not gonna hate you for that either. I completely understand. But yeah. Well, there's probably some news to talk about. So let's go to the news and we'll cue that epic music.
Town Radio Tower. This just in.
Welcome to the news. In the news, we've got a few things to talk about. First being, TCG Pocket says we'll get more boosters by the end of the year. And trading is expected to roll out in January for certain cards, while more cards will be made tradable later. I don't know how I feel about that or what that means. Like,
we're just going to get another set by year's end.
Well, the set. I meant the trading thing. Yeah, the trading thing, I'm just confused. Like, how do you just not make every card tradable?
Yeah.
There's probably going to be... It's probably going to be tied to a currency so they don't instantly create a black market. So, like, if you trade cards, it requires you to use a thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I imagine initially either only higher or only lower rarity cards will be tradable. Also, if you make it so that only high rarity cards are tradable early on and require at least 1-to-1, you make it so that people can't just send a crap card that they don't care about for something expensive.
Yeah,
I suppose. You're right. Like in the same way that the really, really rare cards don't show up in the Wonder Pick.
Yeah.
So.
Everything shows up in Wonder Pick except the Scenic cards.
Yeah, the Scenic cards.
The Scenic cards and the Crown Rares, the golden ones.
In news no one really cares about, but people will complain about it if we don't talk about it. Pokemon Sleep is shifting developers from the people who brought us Magikarp Jump to the Pokemon Company and Ilka's Pokemon Works Studio. There's also a commercial with Dua Lipa? Is that how you say that? Dua
Lipa? What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? How does she... I really...
The answer is money, Whimsicott.
I understand, but the brands of Dua Lipa and Pokemon do not mesh very well. You know?
Additionally, and most exciting news that I get to read today, Japan showed off merchandise to celebrate Gold and Silver's 25th anniversary, and everybody should know that Thatch is a very big gold and silver stan.
We do.
There's going to be a gold Ho-Oh and a silver Lugia plush. I need to buy these. There's a jacket that you can wear with Ho-Oh and Lugia on it, and the lining on the inside is the Johto and Kanto map. There are mugs that reveal a legendary beast encounter when you fill them with hot water. That's not as exciting, but also very cool. Chocolates with famous scenes like your Quilava staring down Whitney's Miltank or Lance's Dragonite, attacking the guy in Mahogany Town, and even socks with the Moo Moo Milk logo. I think there's even like Moo Moo Milk whiteout. It's so...
Wow.
I need the plushes, like at minimum. I need the plushes. Like that artwork and everything is just so nostalgic for me because that's like really when the Pokemania kicked in for me personally. But I really, really love it. So yeah, Thatch is buying this. I'm buying this. I'm importing it. All right. Well, with that, there's Scarlet and Violet news, and you've got this, Whimsicott.
Okay. So the latest 7-star raid is Ground Torterra. So, it has the world on the back of its shell. It's very, very that.
It's turtles all the way down.
Yep. It gets 2 scripted shell smashes. It's a mixed attacker, and it has Smackdown for flying types. So you better watch out. This concludes the past gen starters as 7-star raids theme. So it will be fun to see what they have in store next, since this game probably has to live on for another 2 years. You are not wrong, Sigma.
Yeah. That's just objective fact.
Yep.
I don't know. There's like a small piece where like maybe it comes out like PLZA comes out like early 2025, which I don't think is likely.
No. I think they are, again, we've talked about this before, but early 2025, the news cycle is for the release of the Switch 2, the new Switch, whatever they're calling it. And if they are not associating that game with that release, then I don't think we're getting it. Like, it's going to be our holiday game for the next year. We just get a blank year, and then we get this, and like you said a few episodes ago, the only reason we got BDSP and Legend Arceus so close together is that both of them were kind of new things, and they weren't sure that either of them wouldn't bomb. So
yeah.
Then we have Go News. The Global Wild Area event is this weekend. It's supposed to be similar to the other big Go events, and it adds Toxtricity to raids as well as Gmax. And it's just Go News.
Yeah.
And
the TCG news, they changed the qualifications for day 2 at large events by dropping the requirements by 2 points. So if you tie, it's not the end of the world anymore.
The thing is, so the way they've changed it is, I don't know, it's weird. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't really care because like I'm never gonna try for this, honestly, but so they dropped it from, it used to be 19 points before they did all of these changes. So it used to be 19 points. You needed 6 wins and at least 1 tie to be able to get in through 9 rounds. And then they changed it this year, so you needed 18 points and you can make it to day 2. The problem being there were some good players who got 18 points and then made it in, and then could win every single one of their matches in day 2 and still didn't make top cut.
Oh.
So day 2 is, the culture of day 2 is changing, which is something I think the Pokemon TCG community is grappling with itself. In that, like, it's meant for, hey, this is for you to go get your better placement, right? Instead of you're going to make top cut if you win all day today. And so that's what happens here is like, yeah, they're going to let in way more people into day 2, but there's going to be way more people in day 2 that don't make top cut. You know what I mean? Or don't even have a chance at making top cut. Because you could walk in with 16 points and probably not make it to top cut.
Huh. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that either. But like that, they're trying to definitely change the culture of it, because the big complaint was it was very monkey's paw, in my opinion. They did a thing where the community was complaining that since they changed day 1 from 9 rounds to 8 rounds, that they weren't getting to play as much Pokemon, and they just wanted to play more Pokemon. And so Pokemon's like, how about we do that, but that you show up the next day and don't have a chance for top cut. So that was kind of their solution. So it was very Monkey's Paw-esque in that relationship. And
I
to
feel
be
like
fair,
this is going to be everyone's gonna feel real weird when there's a lot more buys and concessions day 2, which feels wrong.
Yeah, day 2's just day 2's not what day 2 was. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, but it is what it is right now. I mean, they're trying to accommodate a much larger crowd size, and they're trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, 9 rounds is exhausting. But sorry.
We've got a brief addendum to last week's news. If you are climbing rank from Master Ball to Arceus, you can lose it. Hooray.
Okay. So they changed that part. Interesting. I haven't gotten that far. I'm only in Ultra Ball, so.
Mm-hmm.
I have no concept of this at all, so I didn't even know this was news.
The rankings on the ladder in live are, there's Quick Ball, which is like you just opened the game today. Then Pokeball, then Great Ball, then Ultra Ball, then Master Ball, and then from Master Ball to Arceus is the last rank. Is the last jump. So I guess you can lose points when you go from Master Ball to Arceus. I haven't gotten that far.
Also, Puckle's Badge Bonanza, Gen 4 Nuzlocke, we haven't talked about that at all this episode, so...
No.
I hear that, for some reason, one of the games, I think it's BDSP is harder, but, like, you've never heard us talk about that on the show, so I don't know how you would have known that.
No.
All right, and then finally in Wo-Chian's News Corner, news brought to you at a snail's pace, 10 years ago this week, Worlds 2015 was announced for Boston, no longer having a last chance qualifier, and ORAS released for everyone not in Europe.
Oh, ooh, 10. Wow, ouch.
Don't.
I have very vivid memories of that week of me going around shops to see if anyone was breaking the European Day one, so I could play along with you guys.
Shiny Beldum was the release event. I remember that one actually. And using it would have Steven eventually reminisce about the events of the Mega Evolution Special.
I didn't know about that part, actually.
I knew about that part. Back in like Gen 6, Gen 7, like they were still like really hip on combining the anime with the game. And then somebody somewhere was just like, yeah, the anime's done. And then we had Pokemon Journeys and nobody cared. Puckle's Poke opinion, similar to last week's about the Starmobiles, it's been almost a year since Indigo Disc. Don't tell me that. Do you think the Paradox Legend should have been better integrated into the plot rather than being a parent quest? Should the fused image from the Scarlet and Violet books been its own Pokemon?
No.
Definitely not that.
Think they should have been more integrated. The game, that Indigo Disc was so bloated already from all the weird stuff they were trying to do with it. Integrating them further just would have meant it took longer. No, it's fine.
Indigo Disc was such a weird... It tried to combine things very oddly. And it did so in a very unsatisfying way. I think the only high is like we definitely got like this like nice storyline with Kieran throughout both the Teal Mask and the Indigo Disc. But at the cost of what? What did that cost us? And I think it cost us a lot of like cool Pokemon lore that we didn't get. Like, what was that tree? What was that crystal tree?
It was just a tree.
Why is it there?
Yeah, it was kind of weird, honestly.
Yeah.
But you know, since you mentioned the Starmobiles, you put me in mind of something that I realized like we'd only like 2 years of delay about that. Which is you know the names of the Team Star bases?
Yeah, they're all galaxies.
No, they're not galaxies. They are stars in the Cassiopeia constellation. Yeah. Which I cannot believe it took me 2 years to realize, like, I know these stars. So I feel so dumb that I didn't remember the names and I didn't make the connection. Like, it was obvious already that, you know, how Cassiopeia tied into the whole plot, but just they gave you so many hints.
My personal favorite It's So Obvious hint is in before you even interact with Cassiopeia, you can talk to someone who goes, wow, Penny sure really knows computers.
Yeah.
She's good. I think she's even a hacker. Like, this is some Club Penguin dialogue.
right, that is the news, guys. We're going to kick things on over to our Poke Quiz, where we're going to quiz your host on their insane Pokemon knowledge.
Oh, hi, and welcome to the Poke Quiz, the part of the show where we quiz our co-hosts on their insane Pokemon knowledge. I'm Mark from the Dunsparce Gang, here to explain the rules. Our fabulous co-hosts will work as a team to answer 5 Pokemon-themed trivia questions that fans have submitted on the Discord server. Each question is worth 1 point, with Pokedex and multiple answer questions worth more, for a total of 7 points. The hosts can use a free hint at any time. If they get all the answers correct and do not use the hint, they can cash it in for an 8th point.
Welcome to our Poke Quiz. Thank you for that introduction. We are going to get started. Our first question is going to be from Swagzire, the Quagsire. What weather condition has the most abilities that trigger under it?
Ooh.
Probably sun.
They have a lot for a lot of other ones, though. Like, let's try to count them out. So sun has, like, chlorophyll, leaf guard, solar power, dry skin, and
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis, that's correct. What else?
Sun for sun specifically.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
You got solar power, yeah.
Yeah.
Forecast.
Forecast. Well, forecast,
I mean, it hits all of them except sand.
Yeah, but okay, let's count it. That's 7 already, right? If I counted correctly.
Yeah, and I feel like it's more likely that we're forgetting one because a bunch of abilities are coming to mind for me, but they're all PTU exclusives. I'm like thermosensitive,
okay.
Obviously. Wait,
no. So, rain has hydration, swift swim, rain dish.
Dry skin and forecast again.
And forecast, yeah.
Sand has sand rush, sand veil, sand force.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Ice has snow veil. Snow/hail has slush rush, snow veil,
ice body,
forecast.
Yeah, I think it's sun.
Yeah, I think it's just sun.
Yeah.
All right, sun is the correct answer. It is just harsh sunlight, chlorophyll, dry skin, solar power, flower gift, photosynthesis, leaf guard, and forecast, like you said.
We forgot flower gift.
Flower gift. If I had said that, I would have gotten, none of the others are close.
All right, with that, you guys are 1 for 1. Your next question, and I think this is just like a yes or no question, I guess. It's a 50-50 shot. You can flip a coin and probably get it correct. This is from Bodhi, Bodhi. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Bodhi.
Are there more male or female gym leaders in the mainline games?
I think probably male, because the ones that get added usually are, Gen 3 has, an additional one, and then...
Because they typically split them 4 and 4.
Yeah, but then you have...
Marlon,
I don't know, though.
And we also have Janine.
Yeah, but I was thinking about Janine. Janine, like, adds a girl, so...
Then you have Juan.
Yeah, and Juan was the reason I was thinking.
Yeah, let's just say male, I feel like.
Yeah.
Male is correct. There are more male gym leaders with 10 more than women.
Wait, what?
There are 44 male gym leaders and 34 women gym leaders. I don't know where we got this number from, by the way. I'm not checking my facts.
I don't doubt it, actually. I'm just surprised.
Yeah, it's usually 4 and 4, right? So I am also surprised.
Maybe it's not 4 and 4 in all the games.
Though. It obviously is not, based on this information.
I'm thinking of things like when they remix gyms, a lot of times they'll put people up into the Elite Four.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They're like they also will balance it over the league.
That's true. That's true. All right, but either way, you're 2 for 2. Your last question this week is going to come to you from Not your last question. This is your Pokedex entry question. Wow. My brain is fried.
I thought I had time traveled.
Yeah, this is from Ellie. The Pokedex entry we have first is from Pokemon Violet, and it reads, they travel in groups of 4 or 5, leaving signs for one another on trees and rocks. They bring down their prey with coordinated attacks. Who's that Pokemon?
The only thing I can think is Phalanx, and I don't think...
No.
They travel in groups of 4 and 5. What was the dex?
Violet.
Yeah, and they leave marks on trees and rocks.
Sneasel?
It could be Sneasel, but Sneasel kind of strikes me as a solitary Pokemon.
No, Sneasel is, I say famously, Sneasel is a pack hunter in a lot of its...
Okay.
Because
then it's probably
Sneasler's whole thing is that that it was outcompeted because they would hunt in teams.
Okay. I like Sneasel because I do remember something about them scratching trees, maybe.
Sneasel, sure.
Sneasel, I'll give it to you. The answer is actually Weavile, but same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. You would have gotten it, probably, you would have been able to figure it out from the next one from Ultra Moon that says, thanks to its increased intelligence, scrapping over food? Scrapping over food is a thing of the past. My brain's not working today. A scratch from its claws will give you a case of frostbite.
Oh, yeah.
But that is 2, so you are 4 for 3 right now. Your next question is your multiple answer question, as always. That's probably too easy. I do like the little message that comes with it. But this one, oh my gosh. Okay, there are 12 answers to this question. There are 2 points available for you. The way we're going to do this is if you give me 5, that's a point. If you give me another 5, that's 2 points. If you give 12, you can pat yourselves on the back.
Yoo-hoo.
This is from The Afterman. There are currently 32 moves in the mainline games that can/will cause a Pokemon to be burned. 12 of these moves are not the fire type. Can you name them?
Yes, Cold, Scorching Sands.
Those are correct.
Tri-attack, Steam, Eruption?
Yeah, Tri-attack.
That is 4. That is 4 of them, yeah.
Can also the new move that Walking Wake got burn?
I don't think so.
No, okay, good.
Beak Blast.
Beak Blast is 5.
Okay. Nature Power, maybe, when you use it in the right terrain, and it, or was it Secret Power? Lynian Help.
Secret Power is the one that had the secondary effect, but Nature Power does change.
Yeah, but it changes into a move. Into an entire different move. Yeah, so it would be Secret Power, I think. But let's put that on the back burner.
You have 5. So.
Okay.
I got that.
Okay. Wait. No, that one. Dark Claw doesn't burn you, right? Fling does.
Fling.
If you fling a flame orb.
Fling is 6.
Yep. Infernal Parade.
That is 7.
Burning Jealousy? No.
No, that's also fire move.
It's a fire type.
Oh,
move.
okay. All right. Okay. I'm getting lost here.
What is the name of Landorus's signature move? It's Sand something Storm.
Oh, Sandsear Storm.
Well, if it has Sear, that's probably right.
Yeah.
Sandsear Storm is correct. That is. You are an 8, so 2 more and you get all the points.
Okay.
Machagacha.
Machagacha is 9.
Does Kyurem's moves paralyze and burn?
I can't remember that.
Because there's ice. It's called Ice Burn. I just don't know if it has a burn chance or not.
I don't know. Are there any other silly moves that would...
Well, let's try Secret Power, because I think there are only so many secondary effects they could have given it.
Secret Power is correct. That is 10.
Okay, cool.
The other
Good, then we don't need to go after the other 2.
The other 2, one is Iceburn. One of them is Iceburn.
Okay.
And then the other one is Psycho Shift.
I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah. That
I
one's kind of like a
suppose.
technicality a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the answers there. So you guys got 2 points there. You are however many, 6 for 4 or something like that.
Y'all remember Toucan?
All right. This question is your base stat question, as always, to end the game. I'm choosing this one solely based on the name of the person submitting it. From Croagunk Caper. What Generation 4 Pokemon has the highest special defense?
Are we counting?
Generation 4,
Forms?
so not Hisui. Forms, sure, you could include forms.
Okay, special defense. There's, I genuinely don't. Bastiodon? It's got like 140.
I don't like. So you wouldn't count the origin Palkia and Dialga, right?
Even if you did, I think those cap at like 130.
Yeah, the attack stats are higher. Is there something crazy weird like?
No, like I can't think of anything that has super crazy high defenses because there's not like a Shuckle or a Regice or a Ho-Oh or a Primal Kyogre kind of thing.
I don't know. How confident are you that you don't want to use the hint?
I'm not. I am not confident at all. I don't remember.
Should we?
This is the last week before the ladder resets, just as a heads up.
How many? Okay, Thatch. Do I break with if I don't get the hint?
I think no matter what you do, I think you're both in the top, so I don't think it matters.
Okay, then it doesn't matter. Let's just use the hint.
Yeah.
This is a dual type Pokemon. One of those types is rock.
Okay.
Okay, so it's probably
right.
Bastiodon then.
You were right.
All right. Bastiodon.
Bastiodon is unfortunately incorrect.
What?
The answer is Probopass. With a special defense of 150. Bastiodon is second place though with 138, followed up by Dusknoir.
150?
Yeah.
That's so high.
It's so high.
How is Probopass still bad?
Because it's a steel rock type. Like that is the answer. It has 2 ×4 weaknesses that are both very good types. Like,
what's its base HP?
not very good. It's Probopass.
Okay, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, Probopass is like base HP of Probopass 60. Yeah. Yeah.
That'll do it.
Poor boy. All right, but that gives you guys 6 points, and this is the final tally before we probably go on to anything else in Puckle. There we go. Okay, so we do have your top 4 for the Tournament of Champions that will be starting in December. I don't get to do a play-in round, unfortunately, now because of this. But in first place, you have Whimsicott with 42 points. In second...
Go me.
In second place, we have Seth Vilo in second seed. I should say second seed, right? We have Seth Vilo with 37. Third seed, we have Lynian with 36. And in fourth seed, we have Bocephus with 35. Everybody else is below that. Claude9 and Shark were tied for fifth with 34, so they barely missed the mark, unfortunately.
No.
Our Sigma is in seventh with 28. In 8th, we have Jushura with 21, Sublime with 20 in 9th place, and Dr. Shamu in 10th with 17. But yeah, we're going to reset this ladder next week, and we will have the Tournament of Champions for you for this year. Well, it's honestly going to release, I can tell you right now, that episode will release on December 23rd. So watch out for that.
My birthday.
Yeah, on your birthday. Yeah, we'll see if you win it. Nobody knows.
Probably not, because all those points were from me being carried by other people. But we'll see.
And boy, are my arms tired. No.
Yeah, they should be.
I haven't decided what the format is, but it's going to be a good one, I'm sure. So you can win that $25 gift card to Texas Roadhouse.
Is that seriously the prize?
No, that's
I'd
not
rather have
seriously the prize.
Rhyhorn Steakhouse, but you know.
It's not seriously the prize.
I'd be down, not because I want to go, but just because it's a very funny thing to win.
Wouldn't it be?
Especially if you're me.
Yeah. Whimsicott could totally get some use out of that. All right, guys. We're going to kick it on over now to our topic. Hey, Thatch here. A lot of you have been asking how you can hang out with us during the week. Well, the best way to do so is come to our Discord server at puclpodcast.com. You can join our server and you can hang out with us, talk Pokemon, battle, do a bunch of cool things, join in our tournaments. So what's stopping you? Come on over, puclpodcast.com. You can jump right on in and have a good time talking with the hosts of the show, as well as the large community we've gathered over the years. So come on, let's hang out. Welcome to our topic. Our topic today is redoing Gen 1 in a modern Pokemon style. This conversation came up because the other day I saw a picture on Twitter, or not Twitter, Reddit, like that matters. I saw an image where somebody went ahead and redesigned all of the gym leader layouts from Gen 1. And I don't know why they did it. They didn't claim they were doing it in like a modern style, but it was certainly influenced by that.
It's labeled, I remixed the Kanto League for fun, so probably for fun. U/Hepgyu.
I assume that it was just very influenced because a lot of people who are in the Pokemon fandom nowadays were born after Pokemon came out, which is terrifying to think about.
Yeah, it is.
They were probably influenced by more modern Pokemon design, like game design, I should say, not Pokemon designs per se, but Pokemon game design.
That's a whole other topic for another day, though.
Oh, absolutely. But it's a cool thought experiment, right? So like what they did, what I don't disagree would be something that they would do in a modern Pokemon game, is that they made the first 3 gym leaders like grass, fire, water. Because that has been something we have seen, honestly, like the last, like in Gen 7 and Gen 8, we very much saw that. It was very much, hey, you're going to do these 3 types up front. And I don't think it was like, no, it was not like that in Gen 9.
It could be, if you wanted it to be. It would be a bad idea, but you could.
You could.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they didn't do it. They did do it in the second island. I blame Omori for a lot of this, but in the second island of Alola, it's just grass, water, fire, which is kind of boring, honestly, especially after you already went through the first island. I find that kind of boring. They
did enough interesting with each of those areas that...
Yeah, exactly. The trials were cool enough, so...
I do agree it was very cool. I just wish they weren't paired together on the same island, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
It's very hard to do that based on how they did the rest of the trial captains.
But also, like, how those 3... part of it was... you go normal, which has any Pokemon can use kind of okay, to use the how they have you go around the triangle. So the previous gym can help you get through the previous trial, gets you through the next trial. And there aren't other. I mean, I guess you could do another walk around the type, but I liked it being tight.
That's fair. I get that. There are a couple other trials that can, or a couple other like type charts that can do that. Like the big one. This is like taking me way back. Back when like there were rumors for starters in Gen 4, where back in Gen 4, but there was huge rumors that the starters weren't going to be water, fire, grass. They were going to be fighting psychic or something. It's very unbalanced actually, because dark is just immune to psychic, not resistant to psychic.
There aren't any resist one way, weak other way triangles.
I think the closest one you can get is rock flying fighting.
That was about what I was going to say. I think rock flying fighting.
But they don't resist themselves. But it has like the closest match to the relationship that fire, water, and grass have. Yeah,
they don't resist. Like those 3 are very prominent in that, and they're just like very easy to understand types versus something like psychic.
It's a natural, logical.
Fire burns grass, grass absorbs water, water puts out fire. Right, like it's very, very logical. Well, the rest of the Pokemon type chart just isn't nearly as logical.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to punch a bird?
They're very hard to punch, let me tell you. They did that with that typing. They also did that in Gen 8. I don't want to call it an island, but that's what it was. the first section of Galar where you fight gym leaders. It's grass, water, fire that you fight there. I'm glad we got away from that a little bit in whatever game we just played, Scarlet and Violet. I also like how the person that made that chart as well, like, ramped up the teams, like the number of Pokemon and the type and which Pokemon they put into things as well. I also appreciate that they made Agatha a poison type specialist and not a ghost type specialist, because that's what Agatha is.
And Lance a flying type, because he is.
That is what Lance wasn't as bad about that in Gen 1, was he? Now I have to look it up.
No, he wasn't, because he had Dragonairs.
He didn't have Dragonairs. He had 2 Dragonites, Gyarados, Aerodactyl, and Charizard.
When does he have the Dragonairs?
No, he had Dragonair. In Gen 1, he definitely had Dragonair. Yeah, no, in Gen 1, in Gen 1, in Red, Blue, and Red and Blue, he has Gyarados, Dragonair, Aerodactyl, Dragonite. The team you were referencing, I'm pretty sure, is his Gold, Silver, Crystal team, where he has 3 Dragonites, Charizard, Gyarados, and Aerodactyl. That's the one everybody's like, he's a flying type leader, flying type specialist. Yeah, that's probably right. But yeah, in Gen 1, he's always 2 Dragonairs, Dragonite. This one he has an Aerodactyl instead of the... No, he always had Aerodactyl, I guess.
No, he did.
Yeah, he always has Aerodactyl and then Gyarados. So, I mean, it's still 3 flying types and then 2 Dragonairs, which isn't much better. I wouldn't say it's much better. I do appreciate, I like that the teams are different Pokemon. They're individually unique Pokemon, and there's no repeats like we just said with the 2 Dragonairs or the 3 Dragonite from Gen 2. Like, come on. How many Onyxes does Bruno need? Come on.
He's supposed to be fighting, and he doesn't even use all the fighting types.
No, there's more fighting. That is frustrating too. I'll ask this question because I'm not entirely upset by Gen 1, like, people not being 100% on their type, especially the Elite Four, because I find it very interesting. And honestly, like, Gen 4 gym leaders are some of my favorite gym leaders because they use a lot of Pokemon that aren't their type.
They'll have just like an off Pokemon that has a move.
Yeah, they just chose like a move of their type, which I think is very interesting. And honestly adds a little bit more flavor than just being like, oh, I'm just gonna go click Leaf Storm against the water type trainer.
And we're gonna forget that the reason that happened is that they have a fire type specialist in Sinnoh.
I don't know if that's the reason, but
well, I mean, even the bug type ace has his aces just Drapion, which is no longer a bug type. I don't mind having 1 or 2 at the point where it's like half their team or less. I'm like, no, you're not.
That's fair. I think it's very interesting. I also think of the representation of like Bruno in the anime, because there's an episode with Bruno in the anime where they just like go and train with him, and I don't even know if he uses Onyx, but he seemed like more of a mountain man aesthetic, which is what I imagine would be like, okay, so he's got that training. I do like if the Elite Four specifically also has Pokemon outside their type, because at least then they're just like, oh, these are like gym leaders plus, right? They can have Pokemon that aren't their type. They can train multiple types very well.
Like it's like the stepping stone between the gym leaders and the champion. And the champion has a completely diverse team, and then
I don't like that we've stepped away from that. I want to be honest, because I mean, if you look at modern Elite Fours, right, like it's just they're just all their type, right? Like the Paldea Elite Four is like Rika's got 4 ground types, Poppy's got 5 steel types, and Larry's got.
That said, that Elite Four is not the biggest challenge in the game. It's not even the hardest Elite Four in that game.
Larry's still my favorite Pokemon trainer in that game because of the reason that he doesn't just use one type. Like, especially in like his rematches, like he uses both the normal and the flying type, which I very much appreciate. And I think stuff like that makes it interesting. And I don't know. It's kind of boring and a little formulaic at this point.
There's something to be said about getting off of the formula. I think what this Remix the Kanto League thing really talks to me about is like there are pretty significant changes between how Pokemon used to be as a franchise. They used to be designed much more like a traditional RPG, and over time have become more and more designed like a very different, like their own thing.
They're their own. Yeah, absolutely. That is true.
It's like it stumbled onto a flavor and then it distilled it down over the years to become Pokemon itself. But at some point, it is starting to get like, you know, if you distill something down too much, the flavor becomes too strong and unpleasant. Like you can't drink straight up vanilla extract.
No, I mean, you could only put maybe 50% of a cake as vanilla extract before it would be a problem.
Thank you for catching that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
I will push back a little bit in that I don't think that it's necessarily better. Because like Brock is a great example. Brock, the reason that Brock is the way that he is with trying to figure out like how to say this. So Brock is a tutorial about special attacks. You are not really meant to be able to beat him with physical attacks. He's very typical in the genre of RPG bosses that you need to do a specific thing to learn how the special stat works. I don't think that's actually a very, like, you can talk about tutorialization and all that, but I don't think that's actually that good. It basically just forces you to, it's a puzzle boss, and in modern Pokemon, I don't think you want to do that. That's really typical of these of RPGs, but in other RPGs, they don't have a fantasy of you trying to catch and train your friends. The idea of getting a specific item to get through a gym, to get through a boss fight, that's very classic RPG.
That is true. I think it just even harkens back to just video game design in general from the early 90s, mid 90s. Like a very good example, and this is such a very stereotypical example, is just World 1-1 of Super Mario Brothers. There's a section near the end of that level where there's steps up, and you hop over a gap between these two steps. There's ground in between, so if you fall through, it's fine. You're just figuring out how to jump over it. And then immediately after that, you come up to a point where you have to jump over a very similar structure, but there is no floor between. So if you fall between, you die and you have to restart the level. And that is just like, it's very nuanced description of how to play the game, right? Like you need to learn to jump over things. That's just how platforming works. And I think Brock was an attempt at that, and I don't think I'm not going to say it was implemented perfectly. I do like things like that being my tutorial versus trainer school, but I think there could have been some. Oh, sorry, Whimsicott. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, no, it's more just like the idea of I like if there could have been something where like a trainer mentions that to you or says like, oh, hey, Butterfree has a good special attack that would help me beat Brock or something like that. I think that is fine and fair. I
think the thing that gets me the most about this is that like 2 out of 3 players will not need the tutorial because they're playing with Squirtle and Bulbasaur. So it's kind of weird. Like they do tell you.
Well, actually, wait, let me. I think the special attack thing has like way more merit to it though, because I'm pretty sure that like Bulbasaur doesn't actually learn like a attacking grass type move until like level 13 or 14 or something. Like it's something stupid like that. I think they make it like slightly better in turning into a type tutorial, type chart tutorial in Leaf Green and Fire Red, because they give like Charmander Metal Claw. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Bulbasaur doesn't even get Vine Whip or something until like level something stupid, because Gen 1 movesets are absolutely atrocious. Level 13, I was correct. I don't know why that is stored in my brain, but it is. But
I mean, it's very reasonable for you to be level 13 with your starter when you reach Brock, though.
No, it isn't. You will get there at like level 9 at most, unless you're like grinding. With
your starter with the growth rates. I think that's very reasonable actually. Especially if you're like only hammering on your starter.
And especially if you're like a small kid who spent ages like in like just hanging out in Viridian Forest.
So part of this, it really comes down to how you want this to run. A YouTuber that I enjoy watching, because all of the videos are basically great background noise, is J Rose 11.
I know J Rose 11. Super nice guy.
Yeah, so he has been doing basically solo runs of this game for basically ever. But it's very interesting to see how Brock changes the game, because it really is just like it warps pretty heavily on, can this Pokemon get a special attack or not? And that's fine in an RPG. That's not fine in a modern Pokemon game, and I don't think that's a problem. I think what happened is they've refined what they're doing a bit, or at least caught on to a specific fantasy. But, I mean, there are other changes in Gen 1's design that really kind of show that. I think one of the biggest differences between them is just how much is just kind of left to the player to figure out. Some of it is just a failure of signposting. Some of it is just they wanted to make games last longer.
Oh, I mean, some of it is definitely they wanted games to last longer, especially like Gen 3. Like that was certainly the intention of Gen 3.
To the point where when they remade Gen 3, what they did was add a whole like NPCs who would tell you where to go, be like, "Want me to take you there?"
Yeah, Gen 3 was legitimately made so that you had to it would take longer, like all of it, even like Fire Red and Leaf Green, because they didn't want that was like back when Nintendo was like really against rental games, and they're just like, if we can't make it illegal, we're gonna make it unfeasible, so that you couldn't actually beat a Pokemon game like within the week you would have the game rental, to be able to sufficiently trade the Pokemon over to your copy of the game or something like that, if it was the version you were missing. It was like Nintendo, maybe not just Nintendo, but like Game Freak was being very anti-consumer when it came to that, because they didn't want game rentals to be the way that this is handled, and wanted you to buy both Ruby and Sapphire and Leaf Green and Fire Red. Or
get someone else to buy it, which for them is the same net.
Exactly. Like, they needed another copy of that game to exist and be purchased, so it was very, like, Gen 3 is absolutely 100% the worst culprit of that, of any generation, which is why, like, you can't trade Pokemon with Fire Red and Leaf Green and Ruby and Sapphire until you beat, like, the Sevi Islands thing, like, the initial Sevi Islands thing. It's absolutely bonkers.
A lot of the game design principles have changed in ways that I think are beneficial, some less. I think one genuine issue I tend to be having with the newer games is that as they have expanded scope, stories have become more and more important. And maybe I'm just rapidly approaching my 30s, but a lot of the story, like the 1 in 5 seems to work. And I'm not even talking like be good. I'm just saying like work. Like fundamentally isn't a waste.
I absolutely agree with you. It's something that we've like criticized the franchise for years about, right? Like, I would say Scarlet and Violet was done very well. Like, it's done very tastefully. Maybe we can argue about like Kieran a little bit. Indigo Disc was definitely clunky.
I don't even mind. Kieran was fine. The biggest problem I had with that was like weirdly not a problem I've had with Pokemon before, which was the game made me be a bad person.
Yes, that one was weird. I didn't like that. It was very clear that they wanted a specific outcome, and they should have just like taken the reins. I don't know. There's actually a really good.
They should not have made me select lie to Kieran or lie to Kieran. They should have just had Carmine shut me up.
there was actually Matt Colville, right? One of the big D&D DM YouTubers, who I'm sure you know and have also watched. He actually has this very good video. Like, I like to watch his stuff just to get ideas. I'm not saying he's always correct, because he has a very specific way he likes to play his tabletop RPGs, and which is not the same way I like to play my tabletop RPGs, but there are some really good nuggets occasionally. And so he actually had this one anecdote of this time that when he was playing D&D with his with his party that he accidentally got them into a spot where like they're going to be imprisoned or they're going to die, right? And he's just like, how do I get out of this? Like, I ran them into this corner. I feel really bad about this. And so he's in between sessions and he comes up with a way, he comes up with a solution, but the solution requires a very specific set of actions for it to make sense. And so what he does is he asks his players if he can take away the agency from them for just like a little bit, and play it out like a movie, which is what they should have done in that instance of the game, right? Like they should have just taken.
Yeah, like there are points when that's just
they should take away the agents.
The most effective way.
Just take the agency away. I should not have to choose lie to Kieran or lie to Kieran. Like, like that is not the appropriate course of action. Yeah, I mean, I think Scarlet and Violet worked out, but I would definitely say that Sword and Shield were very forced. And they definitely missed like a couple marks. Like there were a few places where I think they could have salvaged something. And then the Sun and Moon, I actually think those were okay. Those weren't terrible.
No, those were pretty good. The Ultra games were
the Ultra games were
not as strong, but they were still fine.
They were fine. They weren't. I feel like there was like a happy medium story that they could have told between the Ultra games and the original games.
Yeah, I think the problem with the Ultra games was that it was worse than the base games.
Yeah, no, they cut out all the character arcs.
They just cut out all of the good character arcs and added a bunch of good features.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
But the point I was trying to get at was like, I don't think that the old games were necessarily better because they had less story and I want more gameplay. I think what they did was tell a story that was like, aside from Gen 1, which functionally doesn't really have one.
Other than that time you stop a crime boss accidentally.
But even then, that's more like an incidental thing. It's not a plot event. It's more like wandering around, you happen to liberate a city more than it is...
There's another thing on Reddit this week. That was... It was somebody... It was like almost an I am very smart post on the Pokemon subreddit.
Oh, those never happen.
Yeah, right. Where they... oh my gosh, it was so funny. Some guy like essentially made like a slideshow explaining why they really liked old Pokemon versus new Pokemon. And they were trying to tell something like very, very big. They tried to say that it was easier to self-insert into older Pokemon games than this new Pokemon games. And it literally just came down to an argument of like, yeah, newer graphics are more detailed than older graphics. That makes sense. Yes. I mean, that is something that happened. I mean, we're definitely formed by the technology, right? Like partially Pokemon is formed by that, but, I don't think, I don't know, older Pokemon had different things than newer Pokemon does. So they're handled differently because the zeitgeist is also different.
I can tell that guy was, I can tell one thing very, very specific thing about that poster, and that is a man. Hey, Wibbs, was it really easy when you had to play as a male character to self-insert?
I read that as it was happening, and I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, what happens? I'm like, I don't think this works as well as you think it does, bud.
I could add a few descriptors to that guy. That I'm sure also would apply. Let's not get into that right now, but yeah.
Trainer customization is good.
Trainer customization, good. That was a good improvement, right?
But like, I look at this, like the Kanto, anyway, to finish what I was thinking, is the stories need to be, I feel like you're handed a gold mine of, hey, the entire mechanic of this game is growing and improving your team of friends. And somehow, it's always about saving the world from bad guys who want to remake it. Like, that is the recurring thing, which is why Scarlet and Violet worked.
Yeah, I was about to follow that up. I think that's why Scarlet and Violet worked, is that it's not a world-ending cataclysm that we were dealing with. It was more like, hey, we went on this adventure and solved a mystery, kind of. Like, I want to be the Scooby Gang.
And even then, the world-ending threat at the end is Arvin's parents did not understand the bond of friendship or parental love.
The bond of friendship.
And the solution is his friends his friends save everything.
Arvin was the main character.
It worked out.
The real treasure was literally the friendship you made along the way. Oh god. But yes.
Yeah, no, that was the game.
That was the game.
I know. I never put it into words like that, but they literally call it the treasure. Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. the treasure hunt.
Yeah, the real treasure of Area Zero was the friends we made along the way, and then stole from Kieran.
I'm a little bummed that it took until
I was so mad.
Go ahead, Wims.
That I couldn't give him Terrapagus. I wanted the Terrapagus for myself, but I was like, honestly, in this story, me catching it makes me a bad person again. So
no, he went off the deep end.
Kieran gets a Master Ball and it still loses.
He just went off the deep end. Okay.
Kieran had a Joker arc. Like,
he made his hair very much worse. Okay. Like, he just made it worse.
If this is what it takes to get me the great Kieran time skip Twitter comics, I'll sacrifice that.
Oh.
As a side on this Reddit post, they have the first 3 gyms are grass, fire, water, fine. The problem is that Erica is now unbeatable if you pick Squirtle, because you can't get anything with a flying or bug move, and even if you got a bug, I guess a bug move would be quad super effective. So you need to get a Beedrill. That's the only way that you have to have type advantage against her. And so if you picked Squirtle in blue version, you can't beat her.
No, you can still get Beedrill in blue version. It's just rarer.
It's just less common.
Well, either way, it wouldn't work. You'd have to change what Pokemon were available pretty heavily.
Yeah, no, this is very significantly changes the design. I also don't like that there's an ice type gym leader like at 5.
Although, wait. Is Butterfly learning Confusion just a Gen 3 thing?
Yeah, you can do Confusion.
They're poison types.
No, I guess you could get a Confusion, yeah. So you'd still need to catch another, you have to catch additional Pokemon and get it to 10, which is, like, it's still, Brock can be beaten by any of the starters, just getting to their next move. Bubble will knock it out, and while you don't get Vine Whip, you do get Leech Seed, which, given that they are attacking they don't have a rock move, you can just Leech Seed them to death and it will work pretty well, because the biggest problem is they have high defenses. So I don't think it works too well with that, but I appreciate the impulse.
I like that at number 4 there's like an unchanged Lieutenant Surge. I do appreciate that. Yeah,
my favorite.
No, he switched out a Pikachu for a Magneton and his Voltorb evolved.
That's about it. That's pretty unchanged.
My favorite thing about this whole chart is that they put Lance as the champion instead of Blue. And so they had to add an extra gym leader, and so the 7th gym is just a lass with 4 normal types. It's amazing.
I'm sorry. No, Lance not being your secret rival that was a good twist, and it made up for a great fight. So no, this is a bad change.
With the lack of story that was in Generation 1, I thought it was a very good... Because, like, the story is like, hey, you're on your Pokemon adventure, and there's this kid who thinks he's better than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he shows up, he is better than you, and then you prove, no, I was just slightly slower.
No, I didn't run as fast, okay?
Sorry, when you were running around, I was solving the Mafia problem.
Can we do another episode on why we need more rivals that are just mean to us? Because I do miss that.
Actually, kind of started doing that again.
No, they need to be like
Bede was a jerk. His redemption wasn't even redemption. He shows up and he's like, I want to throw hands to prove that that it was a fluke. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, I think mean rivals are where it's at. Like I don't know. I like the idea of like a competitive rival, rather than like, let's be best friends and hold hands and skip through the meadow and go on our Pokemon adventure together.
I'll point out that of all of the 3 main friend characters in Scarlet and Violet, only one of them liked you, and it was the battle-crazed Nimona. The other 2 saw you as convenient muscle.
Yeah.
Arvin didn't even tell you that his goal was to save his sick dog. Objectively, one of the most morally positive and inoffensive motivations of all time, until you had personally fought down 2 kaiju.
Okay, but to be fair, Arvin has trust issues up the wazoo, and for a very justified reason, so...
I know. I'm just saying that he started off not liking you and calling your dog awful. Hey, you know your Pokemon that you ride everywhere and loves you and sandwiches and is basically a giant dog? Arvin hates it, and he hates you for having it, but thinks you're too useful to ignore.
Again, he has very good reasons for that.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm saying that in an objective sense, if you were to tell me, is that this character hates your dog horse, I would be like, oh, so he's not supposed to be a good guy then. I'm not supposed to read him as a hero for a bit. That's fine.
But that's why the story in Scarlet and Violet is good. Like, it has layers.
I'm saying it's a positive.
Yeah, I mean, I think Scarlet and Violet stepped away from the formula they had built from like Gen 6 forward, and they've done very well. So I think that's why it was better. It felt at least fresh. I don't know. I get a bad taste in my mouth with like them obviously making islands in Galar and like trying to make islands in Galar at least and setting it up that way and giving us like the weird.
Look, every game since Gen 5 has had that kind of batching.
I do agree with you.
Gen 6 was 3 loops that all went back.
Yep. No, I agree with you.
Yeah, Gen 5 wasn't because it was a line.
Yes, it was just a line.
Everyone says it's a circle, but it's not. You finish, it's just a line.
It's 100% a line.
The last time we had a map that was like varied in how we were traversing it was Gen 4.
You're correct.
Well, and I guess Gen 9 because it's open world.
Gen 9 because it's open world, yeah.
It has its own problems, but that's not one of them.
All right. Well, I'm gonna cut us off here so we don't go in circles, unlike Gen 5. Let us know what you think of, or how would you redesign the Gen 1 gym leaders? Let us know in the emails at puclpodcast@gmail.com. We're going to record early next week, so send them in like now, like right now. With that said, guys.
Pull over. We know you're doing this on your drive. Pull over. Send us an email.
puclpodcast@gmail.com. Send that real quick, and then we're good. All right. With that, guys, we are going to go kick it on over to our Pokemon of the episode. We will catch you on the flip-flop.
Poke of the episode.
Welcome to our Pokemon of the episode. Our Pokemon of the episode this week is National Dex number 103, Exeggutor, the Coconut Pokemon.
Its Pokemon Emerald Dex reads, originally from the tropics, Exeggutor's heads grow larger from exposure to strong sunlight. It is said that when the heads fall, they group to form an Exeggcute.
Wow.
Which then evolves into another Exeggutor, whose heads will fall off and form another Exeggcute. It is eternal.
It is eternal. Absolutely.
That is how the circle of life do circle.
I love both Exeggutors.
The Lion King.
Both Exeggutors are fun. I gotta go quick. Now, in the TCG, I wonder, do they have has Bulbapedia updated for TCG Pocket yet? No. Last week they had not. Womp womp. I think there's there's technically 2 Exeggutor cards in rotation for TCG right now. Both of them are Alolan Exeggutors because why would we do regular Exeggutor when Alolan Exeggutor exists? And I don't think there's been a big Exeggutor card outside of Alolan Exeggutors actually, but
I mean, there was Exeggutor, Alolan Exeggutor and Rowlet is one card I remember. I don't think it was good. I just remember it.
No, there's Alolan Exeggutor V exists, which is like gimmicky and kind of fun. Its first attack is 1 grass energy, and you flip a coin. If heads, you can search your deck for up to 5 grass energy and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. So that's pretty massive energy acceleration.
Yeah, I'd say.
And then Head Swing is its second attack, which is 3 colorless, and it does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So you can snipe to the bench for each grass energy attached to that Pokemon.
Oh,
so it synergizes very well with itself. Yeah. It's from the Pokemon Go set, so I understand why it's there.
I'm looking at this art, and I absolutely love it, because the art for this card focuses on the tail head.
Yes. Yes. And then more recently in Surging Sparks, the newest TCG set, we got an Alolan Executor EX, which is a dragon type. It's also a stellar, which means that its energy costs are kind of nutsos and probably not very good. But it is like very fun, and I kind of want to make it work because it looks like a really fun gimmicky type of thing. So its first attack is a grass and a water, which is actually kind of doable. It's a little bit better with Ogerpon existing. That's why Regidrago V still works okay. And so for 150, you can do 150 damage for that, and you can attach any number of basic energy cards from your hand to your Pokemon any way you like. So if you just run like a bunch of energy in your deck, you could do that, and it could help you set up the second attack, which is a grass, a water, and a fighting, which is called Swinging Sphene, whatever that is. And you flip a coin. If heads, you knock out your opponent's active basic Pokemon. Very clearly, it's a basic. And if tails, you knock out your opponent's benched basic Pokemon. So if you're playing, like, honestly, that would be really fun to play against something like the, what's the deck that's really popular right now? Raging Bolt. You would just be able to take knockouts, however, like, no matter what. You would just be flipping coins, taking knockouts either on the bench or on the active. And honestly, it doesn't matter which one you knock out.
Is a crystal. It's a type of gem.
Ah, interesting. Good to know. But yeah, that is Alolan Executor as a TCG card, and they did have there is an EX one on Pocket. Like they made a normal one, but I guess TCG Pocket doesn't exist on Bulbapedia. But
maybe it's in its own section. I'm going to look this up.
It must be.
Pokemon TCG Pocket Bulbapedia. I don't want to look at best decks.
No. Nobody cares.
But no, they do not have a set list. Oh no, they do. It's not in the card decks.
Okay.
Executor, there's an Executor and an Executor EX.
Yes. Every card that has an EX, I think, has like a baby version of it in Pocket too. Yeah.
This one is jank, but for 1 grass energy allows you to deal 40, flip a coin, 80 damage.
Yeah, there's a lot of coin flips. It's like early TCG over on TCG Pocket Land.
It's fine. The other version of it deals 30 damage, and if you win a coin flip, it does 60.
So it's the same card.
It's the same card, except you get 10 more damage and risk an additional prize card.
Yes. So, regular Executor is also just fun. I mean, I love... I think they both have the same stats, right? Or no, they don't.
No, they don't.
They don't.
So normal Executor has...
It loses speed and gains attack when it goes Alolan. Just 10. It's not much different, but yeah. Man, 55 makes it so bad, actually.
It does have Chlorophyll.
Yeah, no.
It only has Chlorophyll as a normal Executor.
Yes. I have seen that work.
It can kind of do some things, but... Yeah.
I have seen people do it. I don't think its move pool is super deep either. It's mostly just like grass and psychic moves, and then you probably get like Shadow Ball. No, it's got some
weird ones.
Like what? What would you call notable weird?
I wouldn't say notable. I just said weird.
I mean, I guess Earthquake.
It's got your classic Gen 1 random moves, like a non-poison type running Sludge Bomb, and if you go to the old moves, it'll get like Bubble Beam and some weird stuff.
I think you can get that. Yes. Just like Gen 1, man. Whenever you get Pokemon from Gen 1, it's weird. Bubble Beam got cold, though, so it doesn't get that in Gen 9 anymore.
It does get Synthesis by Level Up, but you can also give it Moonlight by Reminder, which I find by Egg Move, which I find very funny.
Necessary.
I'm looking at the Bulbapedia page.
Yeah.
Which has all the sprites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm absolutely losing it at the Let's Go sprites. Because they're just missing the heads. They just don't fit on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can send them out, but it's so funny to do so in that game because they'll follow you. But they unless you're in some very specific maps, there's no place where you can see their head.
Yeah.
This is the correct way to handle a Alolan Executor in a game like that.
With that, we're going to have to go to our mailbag.
It's mail time! Send in your emails! Mail!
Welcome to our mailbag. The mailbag is the part of the show where you can email us at puclpodcast@gmail.com and let us know your thoughts about the last episode. Last week we asked you what your top 5 and bottom 5 Gen 4 Pokemon were. So we're going to jump into that here in a second. But before we do that, as always, this segment is brought to you by the fictional energy drink Green Tauros, the energy drink that gives you hooves.
Hooves!
Hooves.
We'll give the Green Tauros badge to anybody we deem worthy. With that said, we're going to go ahead and jump right on in. Our first email this week is going to be from Ben, I guess. He didn't give us another name, so.
Yep. Hey yo, replying to your call for replies. My top are Rhyperior, Garchomp, Infernape, Magneton, and Hippowdon. Special mention, as the first Pokemon I ever bred for EVs. Earl was a good boy. Aww, that's a good name for a Hippowdon.
That's not a bad list.
Yeah. At the bottom, Bonsly, Phione, Chingling, Mothim, and Combi. 4 things that didn't need to exist, and Combi is just an A+ grade pain. I just want to bring up just how awful Combi really was in original Diamond and Pearl. You had to smear honey on a tree, wait 6 hours without changing the DS clock. Then you had a 20% chance of encountering a combi, which in turn had an 87.5% chance of being a useless male.
Happens.
Yep.
Happens.
Honestly, if Vespiquen was a good Pokemon,
That's just exactly what we said.
this would be cool.
That's exactly what we said last week.
It's the only conclusion you can have. Like, this only makes sense. Like, Milotic, yeah, Milotic is cool enough to make Phoebus almost worth it, but this,
There is nothing cool about Vespiquen, and we made it a thing.
it's one of my least favorite Pokemon.
My favorite thing about nowadays is that we can see whether or not it's a male or a female before we encounter it. So it makes it much more worthwhile. Well, thank you for that, Ben. All right, this next one is going to be from Lone Star. I believe you've got this one, Lynian.
Do. Hello, Puckle crew. Lone Star from Brazil here. I've been a fan of the podcast now for 1 or 2 years and really appreciate this week's topic. Sinnoh is one of my 2 favorite regions alongside Hoenn. I find it really hard to pick a top and bottom 5. But here we go. Top 5. Number 1, Luxray. I was a little upset that you almost did it justice by picking it at top 5, but ended up putting it aside. Luxray needs more love and a dark typing and a better stat distribution.
This is why I didn't make it.
Yeah, it's my husband's favorite Pokemon. He just peeked around the corner because he heard Luxray.
That's so cute.
Giratina, maybe the most alternative box legendary. It's not particularly beautiful or powerful, but has amazing lore and an intimidating aura. Feels unique to catch it in Platinum since it feels like it's an anti-hero that confronts the antagonist, Cyrus.
That's true.
3, Empoleon, one of the most elegant Pokemon ever. Incredible typing, very reliable in battle. Weavile, the OG Ice Dark Sweeper. Incredible design that improved the undercooked Sneasel, the coolest of Gen 4. 5, Infernape, I think the ultimate firefighting design. It's nice to go with this one through that snowy route filled with Snover and Abomasnow. Bottom 5, I think the ones that you picked are alright, although I would also mention Carnivine. I don't know why it exists.
Carnivine's cool.
That's a great question.
Carnivine's fine.
I like Carnivine. Seth will fight you.
Yeah, he will. He will.
Not over this point. He'll just show up outside your house with a crowbar.
He'll just fight you.
I mean, maybe.
It's very easy to deal with him. He is very short.
Yeah, no. He needs the crowbar just to reach your knees.
I know, but he's not. I'm actually shorter than he is by just as much. So he still wins.
That's it for now. Wrote this email while stuck in the car waiting for a storm to subside. See you next week.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Lone Star. Our last email is from one of my favorite people that emails us during top and bottom 5 episodes, Timal.
Yoo-hoo!
Good day, Puckle. It's a top 5 and bottom 5 list, so I'm here with another dumb list that makes no sense. I got back into Pokemon in Generation 4 when studying for my first course at university. Although I ended up leaving that course and eventually completed the teaching degree, my time at uni introduced me to one of the horrors of tertiary education group assignments. So here's my top 5 and bottom 5 Generation 4 Pokemon, but they're a part of your group assignment at university or college. Some of these are actual experiences I've had. Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Top 5. Number 5, Darkrai. Darkrai isn't in this course to make friends, and keeps to themselves mostly. They do what they'll always do in group assignments. Meet for study sessions when needed, get their stuffs in on time, and don't procrastinate. Their emails are to the point, and although they give weird vibes, they do a pretty decent job. After the group project is finished, you might see them around from time to time, but you don't really talk to them again. Number 4, Chatot. This assignment has an oral presentation component. Everyone's favorite part. Luckily, Chatot is an extrovert and loves to talk, and is good at public speaking. They offer to do most of the hard parts of the presentation. You all get pretty good marks. Number 3.
God, I'm Chatot.
Licky Licky. We've all been there before. A long day of lectures and tutorials, no time to stop for lunch, and you've got your study session at the end of the day. Licky Licky comes prepared for this with baked goods, sweets, and an energy drink or two. The sheer intake of sugar during these study sessions definitely isn't good for you, but at least you can think a little easier now that your stomach isn't audible to the entire study room. Number 2, Weavile. Believe it or not, there are some people who go to university because they are genuinely interested in the subject they are studying. Weavile is one of them. They're neurodivergent, and this course is 100% one of their special interests, so they have facts and sources for days. Your group gets a high distinction for this assignment, and you come away with a newfound appreciation for the field. Number 1, Cherim. This person you want in your group assignment. Super organized, always managed to be cheerful, unless it's overcast, and is really helpful and supportive. They've got your back after you've done an all-nighter and are running low on inspiration. Chin up, here's a few great peer-reviewed articles I found earlier. You've got this. They carry this assignment, and you're eternally grateful for it.
Finally, some Cherim love.
Bottom 5. Number 5, Skunk Tank. Doesn't do a bad job with this part, but you dread the study group sessions for one very pungent reason. They are somewhat lacking in the personal hygiene department. You can sit on the opposite side of the table and get whiffs of their malodorous funk. You always insist they take one of your sticks of gum when you offer it to the group. Number 4, Roserade. A mature age student. Their anecdotes always somehow relate to their litter of Budu. Your group organized to meet at the library for a study sesh, and they message you 10 minutes before it saying that they can't make it because their kid Zayden has thrown a chair at their teacher and they need to attend another parent-teacher meeting. There's the personal experience, right? Yeah.
The way they spelled Zayden is the best part of this email.
Yeah, Zayden is spelled Zaedynn. Number 3, Lopunny. No one knows how they got this course, given the high entry standards. But then you find out that their daddy knows the dean and pulled a few strings. When your group are allocating for roles for the assignment, they reply with, yeah, but I'm at a gig this weekend and I really need some time for that. So can you do my section and I'll totally do another part next week? Thanks. Repeat ad nauseum. Number 2, Spiritomb. Your group is assigned and you start organizing who is doing what. Yep, says Spiritomb. Got it. I'll get my section to you next week. Cue complete silence from them. They don't reply to your messages, don't show up for any study sessions, and they skip classes. You've all been ghosted. You pull a few all-nighters and get everything done, and the day before it's due, you receive an email from them with a subject line my section. Attaches half-page, unsourced, and uncredited piece of unusable garbage that was probably generated by Chatot GPT. Then they have the audacity to get mad at you because you didn't include their name on the assignment submission. They drop out the next semester. Number 1, Lucario. You don't initially suspect much when they're assigned to your group, and the first group meeting goes fairly well, but you quickly discover that Lucario is an absolute control freak and will make the next few weeks miserable for everyone. They send you constant messages at all hours reminding you of deadlines and what should be included in your section, and require that all drafts are sent to them where they add their own helpful edits. Snarky and passive-aggressive, they assume that you don't know a thing about what you're doing. Eventually, when bleary-eyed, you submit the assignment, you find that Lucario has sent the dean angry emails that they did all the work and the rest of you did nothing. You almost fail the semester while Lucario smugly smirks at you every time you see them. Honorable mention, Porygon Z. Every time they send you a file, it's glitched and you can't open it. So, Puckle, who would be the best or worst Sinnoh Pokemon to study with? Cheers, mates. Timal. P.S. For a top and bottom 5, have you ever considered ranking music, battle themes, town themes, route themes? I love the music in Pokemon, and it might be fun to have a topic about it, given it's not brought up often enough. It's just that it's a lot of work to get it.
The problem is playing samples.
Yeah, well, playing samples isn't like illegal or anything. It's just prepping it all and then doing it.
No, it just takes forever.
It just takes much longer.
And because it's already an audio show, it becomes kind of awkward to do it. Like we've talked about it. It's just not quite feasible. I'm also terrified what you would do. It'd be like top and bottom 5 Pokemon songs to play as you clean up a murder scene. You know?
I want that email now. I want that. Grion Taurus badge, it can't be Timal because we've already given it to him several times.
Next year we need to do the Timal Tauros badge.
The Timal Tauros badge. It's just his own. It's just his own.
Yeah.
It's his own distinction.
Top 5 email commenters.
Top 5. All right. Well, with that said, guys, you can email us next week at puclpodcast@gmail.com, letting us know how you would remix Gen 1 or how would you would design a Pokemon game to make it better and or worse. Send that into puclpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to keep up with us throughout the week, you can check us out on social media. All the links are in the show notes. You can, of course, follow us over at Twitch at twitch.tv/thepucklepodcast. I'm hoping to get back on there after the holiday. And we can do some fun stuff over there, especially since the Puckle Badge Bonanza next month is TCG. So like I can just kind of go all out and play TCG for you guys. And then, of course, you can always go over and check us out at YouTube, youtube.com/pucklepodcast. You can support the show by going over to Patreon at patreon.com/pucklepodcast, get some cool things. And then additionally, you can follow us up. You can go to our... You can go to trollandtoad.com and use code PucklePod5 for 5% off on whatever you try to buy. But with that, guys, I have been Trainer Thatch.
I have been the fluffiest Whimsicott.
I've been Lynian.
Here in the Lavender Town Radio Tower, it's closing time.
It's closing time in Lavender Town. Time to say our goodbyes. It's closing time. Farewell, my friends. I'll catch you on the flip side.